Scott, that echoed really bad. What's going on, guys?
What's going on, guys?
I am SimpleSimon.
I'm SimpleSimon.
I'm your comic book noob. Welcome to the NOOB Rebirth.
Echo, you said. Didn't you say one with echo?
No.
Oh.
I'm here at the Big City Comics bunker.
Is it going to be the bunker? No.
Well, I'll go through. I made a list of all the people that came up with names, so we'll do that as well. But today's topic is the new chapter of the NOOB. Did you know, Mark, that I am a huge X-Men guy?
Hashtag X-Men guy? No. No, I did not know that. Well, surprise, surprise.
Today, we're going to be talking about some X-Men.
It's a bandwagon jumper, mate, this guy.
Let's do this. Just a quick shout out to my subminions. Channel membership is now available. To find out more, hit the join button to find out about perks, exclusive content, including extended versions of the NOOB Rebirth. But always remember, your membership is not required. The best way to support the channel is by liking the videos and leaving a comment. Let's do this. Alright, so we started this video by going through all the names that you guys suggested in the previous video. But unfortunately, the segment went too long. It went for over 5 minutes, so I didn't want to include it in this video. But if you stick around to the end, we will announce a winner. And if you stick around to the very, very end, you might even see a couple of the suggestions in the bloopers section. But we do want to thank everyone who came up with the name. And it's probably a good thing that you don't see this part of the video because Mark didn't like any of your suggestions. Anyway, let's talk X-Men. All right, let's talk about X-Men. So
hang on. What do you know? What's the history of X-Men that you know, Mr. Hashtag X-Men guy?
Or I can tell you my history of...
Your history?
I can tell you my history.
Modern audiences, right?
No, as far as like how I did like X-Men, obviously as a teenager, because of the animated series, and back then I did collect comic books, and I would buy X-Men comics back then because I liked the series and I did like the characters from the animated show. But even back then, I used to love Spider-Man, for example. But I bought X-Men comics back then, but I didn't really enjoy reading X-Men, and I can't really remember why. Maybe it was confusing, I'm not too sure. So when I got back into comics, you know, X amount of years ago now, I never decided to jump into the X-Men route, just because I thought, you know what, I didn't like it back then, I don't think I'm gonna like it now. But also, I'm not huge on team books, but we'll get into that a bit later. But recently, I started watching X-Men 97, the animated series, and from the very first 5 seconds, I was like, oh wow. I was like, they've really given it that same look and everything like that. I mean, they've obviously redesigned the characters and stuff, but just the look and the texture of the animation.
They didn't really redesign the characters. I didn't find that.
Different.
I didn't find that.
They look different.
It's because the animation
Rogue's butt.
Different. Who cares about fucking Rogue's butt, mate?
Who cares about fucking Rogue's butt? They all do. I know Mark didn't really have interest in the animated series when I last spoke to him, like a week ago, and all of a sudden, X-Men guy, tell me, what do you think of the first?
Well, I liked it. It picked up where it left off.
I just feel like they did a really good job.
Yeah.
Making it feel, and look, I didn't actually go back and watch any of the old stuff, but just the way it looked as soon as it opened, it didn't look like it was modern day animation.
No, they definitely kept it. They used the modern technology to make it look 97. So they had that feel, the same music. There's some character designs, maybe I said, oh, you know, like I didn't like, but it doesn't take it away from the story, of course. I loved what they're doing with the character arcs and the story. They're making you like the original X-Men in 97. They made you care about the characters. They put all these character arcs and they made you care about them. And so what I found about this one is that, yeah, I didn't like Magneto's outfit, you know, like with the big M and the glass. I hated it. I thought it looked awful.
It goes back to traditional though.
Correct, it is. That's straight out of a comic book. I get that. That whole love triangle between Rogue, Gambit and Magneto. You kind of see Rogue's point of view. You kind of see what Rogue's effect has on Magneto and Gambit, But Gambit's frustration, he loves her even though he can't be physical with her. Whereas Magneto knows that he can be physical with her, and she knows that too. So, and I think that she needs that. Everyone needs that, right? So I think that whole love triangle was awesomely done.
I got to admit, even though I watched the whole season, there were some episodes where I wasn't fully concentrating, so I was a little bit confused sometimes because like I'd be on my phone or whatever. But the whole reason I watched it was because of that whole episode 5 thing. Everyone online was just, and no one spoiled it or anything like that, so I'm sorry that we're going to spoil it for you. But everyone,
yeah, well, the spoiler alert.
Everyone was going on about episode 5, and I was like, I want to know what this is about.
Well, I knew because the review that I watched didn't have a spoiler alert, and it spoiled it for me, which I didn't really care. I don't really care about spoilers, but yeah. So, what did you think?
I enjoyed it. It reignited a love for the X-Men characters that I used to have when I was younger.
Yeah, correct.
I loved Wolverine when I was younger. Gambit was actually my favorite. I remember back then, for example, Age of Apocalypse and things like that. So I think I'm curious to see what you think actually once you finished it all, because the end of the season kind of finishes in a way that, for me, I was like, huh?
Yep.
But for X-Men fans, I think it was a big deal.
I love what they did with the Madeline Pryor.
Yeah, so you know what I didn't know? So this is how little I know about X-Men, right? So I'm watching the animated series, and I was like, what? I was like, the whole Madeline Pryor thing.
Goblin Queen.
Like, how long? When did that happen? Was that in the 90s or 2000s?
Yeah, that was Chris Claremont. Yeah.
So that's that whole, okay. So I didn't know about that. And then the thing that spun me out the most, I was like, wait a sec. Is Cable Cyclops' son?
Yeah.
With Madeline Pryor?
Yeah, that's correct.
Not Jean Grey.
Not Jean Grey.
Yeah, I was like,
oof, yeah.
What?
Well, and that's what we were subjected to in X-Men back, the golden era of X-Men.
Okay, well, let's talk about that quickly. Back in the 90s, that was like peak X-Men, right? Or was that also, was it also the rise and fall at the same time?
No, it was peak X-Men because it did the Jim Lee and Claremont run on X-Men. Uncanny X-Men was still running, so that was in its, close to 500 issues. But all this happened obviously in Uncanny X-Men. And the appearance of Gambit, Rogue became a hero, not a villain. The X-Men animated series did what the Batman animated series did. They used source material and interpreted it from source material. Being animation, there's not much you have to really change. The X-Men back in '97 did the same thing. They changed some things, but not completely, obviously. And so they're continuing that in this series. And you got to love all the little cameos. When they go to Genosha, cool. All the little cameos you see, like Nightcrawler, which you never saw really.
But also other Marvel characters.
Still waiting for Iceman to turn up, to be honest. Does he turn up?
No, I'm just saying there's lots of Marvel characters as well, not just X-Men.
Marvel characters never really turned up in the original, if I can remember correctly. I can't remember. It was very clever to bring Morph back, to use the cameos.
Yeah, that's cool.
It's just, wow. There's so much happened in episode 5. Like, so many things happened in episode 5. Starts off here and ends up, here with, some nods to the Hellfire Gala with the party in the beginning of the episode. It serves good for old people or older fans who loved the original series. And I think the newer fans who want to watch this will go back and watch the older, and it will just meld in together because the animation is not that different.
But back to the comic books, you were obviously, because you're a massive X-Men guy.
I was. Well, when I was collecting Batman and getting into all these comics, I said, I want a group book. I didn't want to read Justice League. I wanted to read Marvel, X-Men, which was a group book, and I absolutely loved it. I started my X-Men run from Uncanny X-Men 172, I think, which was the continuation of Claremont's and Miller 4-issue run. It continues into an X-Men book. And then obviously I got the Jim Lee and Claremont X-Men book. So that's where I started. I stopped for a while, but...
Did it get to a point where it was just like...
Oh, absolutely. I jumped on at Hickman again.
Okay.
When Hickman took over.
I remember there was, I think when I first started collecting, there was like the X-Men colours, like X-Men Gold, and I remember you complaining about it.
Oh man, it was so bad. I was reading it up until Brian Michael Bendis took over. He wrote this story arc and he just went, you guys, go for it. Like he basically did what Hickman did. He went in, he shook things up, and he goes, there you go, right? And they got in other writers, and it just was unfixable. It's basically what they did to the X-Men in like 2000, well, I would say 17, 2018. They took away what made X-Men great, which was the characters, right, and the relatability to them. The reason why they're so popular, the X-Men characters, you know, and all Marvel characters anyway, because it's a Marvel thing, is that they're normal people with normal problems, but they have powers. So they have debts, they have love stories, they have, you know, worries, and that's what made them relatable. So that's the same with Spider-Man, same with Iron Man. Maybe not so much as Captain America, but those characters are popular because their relatability to it. The X-Men that was amped up to that more so. So that's the reason why it was popular. And then in those years, in that 2018, 2017, 18, they took that away. They made them larger than life. They made them not relatable at all. They tried they tried a lot of writers, put them in there to change it up, switch it up. You know, even Jeff Lemire had a go and he couldn't fix it. And you'd think that Jeff Lemire would be perfect for the X-Men because he writes family so well. He couldn't even fix it. You know, one of my favourite eras of the X-Men would be probably when they moved to San Francisco. When, Professor X was no longer around, Cyclops becomes this ultra, not Nazi, but that's the wrong word, ultra focused on his race. You know, he becomes like Magneto, sort of like an anti-hero. But he's got the best interest of the mutants, and that's where like the split between Wolverine and Cyclops happens. Yeah, that was one of my favourite areas. It was just so ballsy, you know, and so dark.
I mentioned earlier that I'm not really into team books. I've only read a few, like I've read some Justice League and I've read some Teen Titans, and I don't like the story just jumping between so many characters. It gets confusing. Would it be better for me to read X-Men solo titles, like with solo characters? Like a Wolverine story, for example, and things like that?
Yeah, of course.
Do you think that would be better for me? Or would you would you recommend 3 X-Men stories?
Days of Future Past.
That's the one. Wait, is that the one with Scarlet Witch and her doing the thing? Oh no, that's House of M.
That's House of M, dude.
X-Men guy.
Days of Future Past, mate.
Yeah, Days of Future Past. Yeah, okay, that's one.
Off the top of my head, I can't really think.
What about Hox and Pox?
What?
Hox and Pox.
What the fuck is that?
House of X and Powers of X. Fucking X-Men guy right here, baby.
No, I'm talking old school.
Okay.
Because
did you read that?
read Hox and Pox.
Did you read that? There's two. Would that be too confusing?
Yeah. To read Hox and Pox, you would have to know a bit of the history.
Someone said to me, recommended Hox and Pox, but then was like, "Oh wait, you don't like team books? Don't read that then."
Yeah. Definitely Days of Future Past. Very iconic story. There's the Age of Apocalypse, definitely. I think.
See, I was there when that happened, and I bought some of those books. And I think I was just confused. I mean, I'm still confused as an adult reading comic books. Back as a kid,
what do you mean? Just you're still confused? Just reading? You're just confused altogether.
Yeah, well, that's true.
So if you want to read X-Men, so X-Men, Phoenix Saga, Days of Future Past, and probably that. What was that? That Genosian one, Extinction Agenda. So, Genosian, Extinction Agenda, Days of Future Past, and the Phoenix Saga. I think it would be really good. And they got action, they got heart, because you start caring about these characters and you care about what happens to them. That's the beauty of the X-Men. Like I said, the relatability of them. And if anyone says that the reason why they created the X-Men to begin with, and the reason why they made them mutants was because they couldn't be asked creating backstories. So their backstory, they're mutants. That's it. That's it. That's the only reason that Stan Lee created them, because he couldn't be asked creating backstories for all of them. Not like Iron Man or Spider-Man, you know. So which I think works absolutely greatly. There's a character in X-Men for everyone. There's a character in X-Men that everyone can relate to, and that's the beauty of X-Men.
All right, well, that's all we have for you today. If you guys are X-Men guys and gals, no, I'm okay. Leave a comment. Let us know the 3 stories you would recommend to an X-Men noob. Right? And obviously, we've decided on a winner. So Mark wasn't very impressed with most of the names, so I've taken it upon myself to name my favorite one, which was the Big City Battle Station, which is, I just think it was a cool name, sounds very comic booky and things like that. You were taking it too literally. So that was by Kyle. Mark's gonna have a couple of books for you, and I'll put some books in there. And yeah, well, I'll get in touch a few days after this video, because I never like to hit the winner up straight away, because I want them to give them a chance to watch the video. So congrats, Kyle. All right, that's it for today. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mark. Everything's going well?
Oh. Just joking. Everything's going good. I'm good.
Fantastic.
How are you?
I'm good. We're going to run this out because we've been filming for about 40 minutes now, and I've got to edit it down into 15 minutes.
I can talk.
This guy can talk. So say bye, Mark.
Bye, Mark.
Leave a comment, like, all that good stuff. And until next time, keep it simple. Move just a little bit to the left.
Well, I can't because look at this face hugger. Look,
Yeah.
look where it is. Ah!
All right.
Ah! No, doesn't really work. That's way too long. No, too poor, too long. No. It sounds like I'm in a library holding a cognac with a cigar in the ashtray. No. Yes. No.
Mighty Mark's Container of Coolness.
Too long.
Hi, Mark Comics. Now, I feel like this is definitely Mark's favorite. Mark's Manhole.
That is absolutely made me laugh so hard.
Mark actually responded to that in the comments.
It made Nina laugh so hard, and she's vying for that one. She likes that one.
I don't know if he spelt Mark with an H to put on the Aussie accent. Mark's Manhole.
No. We can have 3 prizes, can't we? 1, 2, and 3.
No, we'll just have one because I'm paying postage on all this shit.
I'm going to do it again. In the meantime, make sure you subscribe. All right. Become a Siminian. You don't have to, but if you'd like to, see extras at the end and shoot us a like.
You see extra footage of every episode of the Noob.
Don't forget, you have to shoot us a like. Do a like. Takes you 2 seconds out of your life.
That's right.
All right.